Hey folks, George here. Today we're going to talk about relativism, moral relativism. What is relativism? The crux of it is ultimately that morals are relative. Well, we'll see exactly what that means, that there are no absolute morals, that there are no universal morals, rather they're relative to different things. I'm going to divide this up into two discussions, yeah? The first is going to be Ruth Benedict, who's an anthropologist who comes to this philosophical position of moral relativism from an anthropologist's perspective. Then we're going to discuss Louis Pojman's response and retort, ultimate disagreement, against relativism. So we'll see two different sides of that issue and see how we can understand these ideas, yes? But first, we're going to talk about Ruth Benedict's take on relativism. She starts by suggesting there's no such thing as universality in morality or ethics. Universal ethics would be something that applies to everyone, everywhere, all the time. That would be universal ethics. Or universalist ethics. Ruth Benedict suggests there are no universal morals. There are no universal morals. Number one, she starts her argument by suggesting there's no such thing as human nature. There is no human nature. There is no way for me or you or anyone else to behave. Nothing is inevitable in terms of human behavior. Rather, there's so many different possibilities to all of our behaviors. Instead, the way we do behave, the way we do act, and things we do value are based on history, culture, society, economics, those sorts of things. And all of those things, mainly our culture, I'll put all of those under this umbrella of culture. It is our culture that tells us how to act, how to behave, what to value. In order to illustrate this point, she goes off into this question. What is normal? What is healthy? What is abnormal? What is unhealthy? Right? According to Benedict, all those questions, what is normal or abnormal? What is healthy or unhealthy? All of that only makes sense within some culture. To put it succinctly, she says we are all culturally determined. We are culturally determined. We are determined. We are created by our culture. By the way, in every culture around the world, abnormal things exist. Things are called abnormal all over the world. What is really deviant in any culture is that which goes against some recognized patterns within a culture. However, and here's the crux for Benedict, what we call abnormal over here is actually perfectly normal over here in some other culture, let's say. And we can see that all over the world with so many different values, as it were. She gives the example of mystics and shaman. Well, in some cultures, some folks really respect that mystical attitude. Perhaps the mystics and shaman are inspired by certain what America would call drug-induced hallucinations. However, there are other cultures where where such experiences are actually revered. And people say, look at the wisdom that the mystic or the shaman has to share with us in light of that mystical experience. Whereas in other cultures, they might call it a drug-induced experience, which is tantamount to madness, let's say, or insanity, or intoxication. She gives the example of homosexuality. In America in 2023, homosexuality is widely accepted nowadays. Yeah, sometimes more accepted in certain regions than in other regions. Yes, but the Supreme Court, at least in 2015, has deemed that homosexual marriage is protected by the Constitution. Yet, before 2015, there were many places, even within America, where it wasn't accepted. And of course, there's all sorts of different places around the world that view sexuality in radically different ways than they do here in America. There are so many different places around the world that have radically different sexual behaviors than here in America. Ruth Benedict suggests that all contributes to the notion of cultural relativism. There are no universal morals, rather, there's only morals within certain places. Another example that I find fascinating is the Kwakiutl culture that she illustrates. She suggests that the Kwakiutl people, when there is a death within their community, that death has to be avenged in some other way. Well, here in America, where I come from, right, they call that murder. You can't just go kill somebody out of revenge. But in the Kwakiutl culture, such is normal behavior. That's the nature of values and behavior. What is her point? One of her points is there is no one culture anywhere that encompasses and understands the whole range of human behavior, because there is no human nature, right? Recalling that point, there is no human nature, and so there isn't one culture that can envelop all of these different values and activities and behaviors that humans seem to exhibit in different places at different times. Rather, we shouldn't be talking about morality, according to Benedict, but we should be talking about habit. Certain cultures have that habit, other cultures have this habit, and all of that is only defined within a specific culture. Of course, all cultures, for better or for worse, have what they call deviant behavior, or wrong behavior, or bad behavior. Most people, after all, merely accept whatever they're taught by their dominant culture. According to Benedict, what is abnormal, or deviant, or immoral is merely an illusion. All it really is saying is that this culture doesn't accept that behavior, or that culture does accept that behavior. Morality, according to Benedict, is all an illusion. At least universal morality is an illusion. The issue then is, how do we deal with, or how do we address social deviance? Social deviance in any culture, in every culture, are experiencing some inner conflict. How do we deal with that? How do we address that? According to Benedict, the solution is tolerance. We should be tolerant of different values, different behaviors, different actions. It's only by luck, after all, that I happen to be born in this culture, and I have the tendency, let's say, to accept so many of the moral teachings that are taught to me in this culture. It's also by luck that some other people are less susceptible to accepting certain moral dictums, and thus, just by luck, they are called deviant because they were born, let's say, at the wrong place at the wrong time. Thus, Benedict suggests tolerance is the order of the day. And as a cultural relativist, tolerance would be better for the mental health of all. See you next time with Louis Pojman's response to Benedict's ideas and relativism in general. Bye-bye.